Mrs. Chen installed security cameras after someone kept breaking into her house. Nothing was ever stolen, just things moved around, food missing, TV on different channels. When her neighbor finally looked at the footage, they discovered something far more sinister than a simple break-in. The person terrorizing this elderly woman wasn't a stranger at all. It was someone she trusted completely. And he wasn't just breaking in. He was planning her death. I live in one of those quiet suburban neighborhoods where everyone knows everyone, and the biggest excitement is usually someone's garbage cans blowing over. My next-door neighbor, Mrs. Chen, is this sweet elderly woman who lives alone and keeps to herself mostly. About 3 months ago, Mrs. Chen had a break-in. Nothing was stolen, which was weird, but someone had definitely been in her house. Furniture was moved around, drawers were opened, and there were muddy footprints on her kitchen floor. She was pretty shaken up and decided to install a security system with cameras around her property. The break-ins continued. Once or twice a week, Mrs. Chen would find evidence that someone had been in her house. Still, nothing stolen, just things moved around, food missing from her refrigerator, and sometimes her TV would be on a different channel than she left it. The police weren't much help. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no witnesses. Last week, Mrs. Chen asked me to look at her security footage because she's not great with technology. She was convinced the cameras would finally catch whoever was doing this. What I saw on those recordings changed everything. The person breaking into Mrs. Chen's house wasn't a stranger. It was her son, David Chen. David Chen is 35, lives about 20 minutes away, and visits his mother every Sunday for dinner. He seems like a normal guy, works in IT, married, has 2 young kids. But according to the security footage, David has been entering his mother's house 2 to 3 times per week using a key she apparently doesn't know he has. But here's the really disturbing part. He's not just breaking in, he's studying her. I watched hours of footage, and David's behavior is methodical and creepy. He comes in when he knows she's out, grocery shopping, doctor appointments, her weekly bridge game. He goes through her mail, her personal papers, her medical records. He takes photos of documents with his phone. He checks her computer and writes down information in a notebook. Most disturbingly, he's been documenting her daily routines. I watched him move through her house, opening every cabinet, every drawer, making notes about where she keeps things. He even went through her prescription medications and wrote down the dosages. The worst part came when I saw footage from 2 weeks ago. David was in the house for over 3 hours, and he spent most of that time in Mrs. Chen's bedroom, going through a shoebox she keeps under her bed. After he left, I could see Mrs. Chen come home and immediately go to check that shoebox. Her reaction was heartbreaking. She clearly realized something was wrong, but couldn't figure out what. I didn't know what to do with this information. Mrs. Chen trusts her son completely. How do you tell a sweet old lady that her beloved son is essentially stalking her in her own home? But then I remembered something David had mentioned during one of his Sunday visits. He'd been asking his mother a lot of questions about her finances, her will, her life insurance policies. At the time, it seemed like normal adult-child concern for an aging parent. Now it felt sinister. I decided to do some research on David Chen. What I found made my stomach turn. David lost his job 6 months ago, but hasn't told his mother. His house is in foreclosure. His wife filed a divorce last month, citing financial deception and erratic behavior. And according to public records, he recently took out a large life insurance policy on his mother, something she probably doesn't even know about. Mrs. Chen is 78 years old and in good health, but she's been complaining lately about feeling confused and dizzy. She mentioned to me that she's been forgetting things and wondered if she was developing dementia. Looking back at the security footage with this new information, David's behavior took on a much darker meaning. I watched him in her kitchen, handling her coffee maker, her tea bags, her vitamins. I saw him in her bathroom, examining her prescription bottles. I think David Chen is slowly poisoning her mother. The break-ins weren't random. They were David's way of monitoring her mother's health and mental state while systematically making her sick. He's been documenting her decline, probably to support some kind of insurance claim or inheritance dispute later. I copied all the security footage onto a flash drive and took it to the police yesterday. They're taking it seriously and have opened an investigation. They're also having Mrs. Chen's blood tested for toxins and poisons. Mrs. Chen doesn't know any of this yet. She still thinks someone is randomly breaking into her house. She has no idea that her loving son, the person she trusts most in the world, is the one terrorizing her. The detective told me that cases like this are more common than people think. Adult children who see their aging parents as obstacles to inheritance, or who are desperate enough to view their parents' life insurance as a solution to financial problems. I feel sick about all of this. Mrs. Chen is such a kind person and she loves David so much. She talks about him constantly, shows me pictures of his kids, worries about whether he's eating enough. And all this time, he's been in her house, going through her things, planning her death. Update. The blood tests came back positive for several substances that shouldn't be there, including a slow-acting compound that causes confusion and weakness. David Chen was arrested this morning. Mrs. Chen is in the hospital being treated, and the doctors say she should make a full recovery now that she's no longer being poisoned. She's devastated, obviously, but she's also grateful to be alive. She told me yesterday that she had started writing goodbye letters to friends because she thought she was dying of some mysterious illness. David Chen is facing charges of attempted murder, elder abuse, and insurance fraud. His wife is cooperating with the investigation and revealed that David had been talking about his mother's inevitable decline for months, already making plans for after her death. The security cameras that Mrs. Chen installed to protect herself from a stranger ended up exposing the person closest to her as the real threat. Sometimes the people we trust most are the ones we should fear.